My childhood dog just showed up at my house after 30 years. If I remember correctly, Shadow ran off when I was 7. The story I always heard about how he came into our lives was that my dad brought him home from a co-worker who had tried to train him up as a hunting dog. Apparently, Shadow didn't display the correct instincts, and to be honest, it does make sense. He was a husky Labrador mix, so he leaned a little bit into the willful side of his lineage. Everyone else remembers Shadow as the prototypical family dog. Loyal, loving, protective. But I have different memories. Even though Shadow was a family dog, it was pretty clear from early on that he was mostly, definitely, strongly connected to me. The thing is, I was always afraid of him. He would follow me all around the house, nudging me this way and that if I wasn't doing what he wanted. I did not want to be alone in my room with him, but he always managed to corner me in there and wouldn't leave me when I told him to. More than once, I would do something bad and I'd swear it was because he told me to do it. Shadow told me. I had always chalked it up to my childhood imagination, but I remember specifically once when I was maybe 5 years old and my sister was standing at the top of the stairs. He told me to push her down. No, I won't. My sister, who was a few years older, said, Won't what? You won't do what? Then Shadow stared at me, and I heard his gruff voice speaking. If you don't push her down the stairs, I'm going to go into her room tonight while she's sleeping, and I'm going to rip her throat out. My sister didn't get seriously hurt, but she did take on a few bruises. Quite a few bruises, and I think that's when our relationship started to deteriorate. It's never fully recovered. Yeah, I got into a lot of trouble, rightfully, and my parents kept a better watch over me for quite a while. Of course, they didn't believe me when I told them that Shadow made me do it. Who would?
You're going to bang your head against this shelf until your parents come to check on you,
the dog told me. Huh? I don't want to.
I can hear them downstairs right now. I can smell their blood. Do you know how easy it would be for me to kill them? Maybe I'll kill your mom first. Everyone will think you did it, since they all think you are a little serial killer already. Then, after someone takes you away, I'll kill your father.
I nearly knocked myself out, banging my head against the cabinet. Shadow liked to come with us on errands. Everyone that saw him said he was the most beautiful dog. Majestic, they would say. Oh, gorgeous dog, that one. Or, hey, where did you get him? I'd love to have a dog like that. And to be fair, he was always the perfect dog for everyone else. Calm, well-mannered, and came when called. We would be at the ice cream shop, and all the teens working there would crowd around him to give him pets and a complimentary bowl of whipped cream. When they praised him, he would look over at me with his beautiful, dichromatic eyes, one blue and one brown, as if to say,
"See, nobody will ever believe you."
And nobody believed me about anything. I guess when I was young I would tell really fanciful stories about when I used to be an adult. I had this whole life built up with a whole other family and career in the post office, and once I told my parents about it enough, I think they decided that I was simply one of those kids who couldn't tell reality from imagination. They got mad at me with how long it went on. My mom tells me once, specifically, that I had awakened her while I was sobbing. I was saying, the bad man, he killed me, he broke into the house and killed me with a gun. Apparently, she had to be up early for work that morning, so she was especially angry. It was just a dream, silly buck, she said, practically dragging me back to my room. I was a little older when I started hearing the babies crying outside. Not every night, but maybe once every couple weeks, I would awaken in the middle of the night, afraid. Then I would hear it, a baby crying outside. My mom threatened to lock me in my room at night if I didn't stop waking her up every time I had a nightmare. And where had the dog gone? She thought, if he was in the room, I would feel protected and wouldn't have to wake her up every time I had a nightmare. I was at a brunch with my mom recently when the topic came up about how I was always so imaginative as a child. And she filled me up with some information that I was not aware of. When I was being awakened by those crying babies, there had actually been a string of child abductions in our city that have gone unsolved to this day. Apparently, it drove a bit of a satanic panic in our community that escalated until an angry mob from a church tried to burn down the house of a comic book shop owner who sold material to play Dungeons and Dragons. My mom always thought that I had heard some snippets of the news and decided to make up a story about it. That's also part of why they were so thankful for Shadow's connection to me. I knew they knew that as long as he was by my side, nothing bad could happen to me. I was about 7 years old, and I hadn't heard him speak for months, and he seemed less and less interested in me. My mom drove around searching every night for weeks. We put up filters on posts and fences, called the pound repeatedly, and did everything we could to find him, but he was just gone. My family thought that someone probably grabbed him from our yard, since he was such a gorgeous dog. From then on, I'd had a more or less normal childhood. I had forgotten all about him, thankfully. Then, he showed up inside my house today. I was walking upstairs to check on my son, who was napping in his crib, and there he was, in the room, gazing at my child. Every hair on my body stood on end. It's definitely him. I even found an old family photograph and I compared it to him. But how can a dog be nearly 40 years old, and how did he even find me after all these years? My wife thinks I'm overreacting. It's just some dog that happens to look exactly like him, but the way he was looking at my son, that everyone always thought was protective, it's the same exact way he used to look at me. I think there's something evil in that dog, and I don't want my son raised with an animal like that.